to One Hit Wonderland, where we take a look at bands and artists known for only one song. Okay, so you know how in the 60s music was incredibly important and political and relevant to social issues and meaningful and all that? Well, it seems like the 60s kind of ends with a hard snap. In 1970, the Beatles break up, Jimi Hendrix dies, the Rolling Stones try to make a second Woodstock that turns fatal, and pop music suddenly gets real stupid.
Whoa, Candida.
I mean, look at this, 1969.
Get your motor running. Head out on the highway.
1970.
Everything is beautiful. In its own way.
1969.
It ain't me. It ain't me. I ain't no watching that one.
1970.
I wanna make it with you.
Of course, obviously, these things never happened overnight. There was silly pop music in the 60s and serious music in the 70s, obviously, but that's the way it always seemed to me, at least on the pop charts. And who said dumb music was necessarily bad? Dumb can be fun. And folks, we're gonna get very, very dumb tonight.
In the summertime, when the weather is high, you can stretch right up and touch the sky.
In 1970, we could not get enough of Mungo Jerry. You know, this guy. Or band. Is it a band or a guy? Okay, it's a band. And their big pop hit was In the Summertime, the summer jam that went to #1 in 16 countries. America actually was not one of them. It only got to #3 here, held off by Whoa! Which tells you everything about the two opposing trends in music in 1970. On one side, an angry protest anthem. On the other, a goofy fun time song about day drinking and going to the beach. Spoilers if you didn't already know this, but in the battle for the soul of the 70s, protest music would lose pretty definitively to happy time brains off songs. But even though 70s pop was a good decade for mindless party songs, most of it did not sound like Mungo Jerry.
Sing along with us.
Honestly, does anything? I mean, I'm gonna try and put a band like this in context, but I'm not sure In the Summertime really has context. It's so simple. It's like it was always there, like nursery rhymes or cave paintings. This is like the first song ever written. What even is this?
In the summertime.
Okay, you want some context? Here you go. You see this? This is a jug band. They play harmonicas and kazoos, and the percussion is just laundry baskets and shit they had lying around. I've always associated this music with hillbillies and animatronic bears, but it turns out that when this started, it was actually an early form of blues music. It was big in the 20s and 30s, and there was a little offshoot of that called skiffle. But skiffle wasn't a big deal until it was revived in England in the 50s.
Cumberland Gap, 15 miles on the Cumberland Gap.
Now, you can see that they're starting to add a little more early rock and roll edge to it. And the skiffle revival was hugely popular and influential in the UK. The Beatles started as a skiffle band, which is pretty much the only thing anyone knows about skiffle. After that, skiffle goes away and you don't have to worry about it. Except now that I think about it, it kind of kept on. There's a lot of 60s music that was kind of jug band-ish. Like the Grateful Dead, Creedence did a whole concept album about being a jug band. So, you know, I guess these old-timey bands banging on washboards, it was still very present in pop culture in 1969, 1970. Which brings us to Mungo Jerry. Mungo Jerry is basically just Ray Dorset. That's the guy with the giant, massive mutton chops and the... I don't even know what you call that hairdo. A Brit fro? Everywhere has told me that this man is 100% Caucasian, but no white man has the right to have that haircut. And the other guys are an eternally rotating cast, as is usual in these videos. I'm finding out that having your success limited to one song is not really conducive to having a stable lineup. He started Mungo Jerry in 1970 after a bunch of his other bands didn't take off. And if you know your musicals, you recognize the name.
Mungo Jerry.
Although, of course, he got the name from the source material. The band actually happened about 10 years before Andrew Lloyd Webber's horror musical about hideous feline monstrosities. But where they really took off was at a music festival that year where they, as complete unknowns, appeared on a bill with like the Grateful Dead and Traffic and Black Sabbath. And even though they were no one, apparently they just killed it, because within months they had a #1 hit. What was so amazing about them that they outshone the Dead and Sabbath? So anyway, all the stuff I said about skiffle at the beginning, that's why this belching, wheezing, grunting song sounds like it does.
In the summertime when the weather is high.
It's trying to emulate stuff from, like, not even the skiffle revival, but the original skiffle from before instruments were invented. I swear to God that in my memory, the percussion isn't just grunts and washboards, but also, like, clown horns, fart noises. So you can imagine they stuck out. In 1970, there were a ton of British bands who were all very much into the blues. But they were all very electric and loud. Mungo Jerry took it back to when blues was played on kazoos and was very simple. Dorset says he wrote the song in 10 minutes.
Sing along with us, dee 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 dee, da 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 da, yeah we're happy.
Yeah, 10 minutes sounds about right. But you know, of course, it should be simple. It's such an innocent song.
If a daddy's rich, take her out for a meal. If a daddy's poor, just do what you feel.
Okay, maybe not so innocent. Although I'm not sure why you think rich girls are somehow less easy. I'm not sure that stereotype holds up. Nowadays, we're used to our summer songs being party jams.
When the winter's here, yeah, it's party time.
This isn't really a party jam because it doesn't jam. It's too laid back. It doesn't even really have a chorus. It's one of those rare songs about partying in the daytime.
Have a drink, have a drive, go out and see what you can find.
No, do one or the other, don't do both.
Have a drink, have a drive.
God, this was so written in 1970. I bet you probably could drink and drive and no one would say anything back then. But, from the future, I'm telling you, no, don't do that. Don't. Which is alarming because there's an actual part where the song stops and then a motorcycle drives away. So, I guess there they go. Why didn't someone get his keys?
When I grab people, when I dirty, when I mean, we love everybody, but we do as we please.
I mean, it's such a smug, hedonistic song. It's like a less pot-centric Because I Got High, or even an early, less awful version of the Lazy Song. And in fact, I might know another song it could have influenced.
Always happy, lives we live in, yeah, that's our philosophy.
I think I've heard of this philosophy.
It's our problem-free philosophy. Hakuna Matata.
I think I've said before that I'm not big on songs about people who don't have problems, and good God, is this song that.
When the weather's fine, we go fishing or go swimming in the sea.
This is mindless pleasure-seeking at its most mindless. I don't think they have jobs, or will ever have jobs. They just drink, they screw, they go fishing. They go fishing.
We go fishing or go sailing in the sea.
And they sound too old to still be in school, so I think this is just how they spend every summer for the rest of their lives. And yet, I'm pretty okay with it. Like, if you find it super annoying, like, I totally get it. I'm not sure why I'm okay with this song, maybe because it's too chill and I don't want to be a downer for once. And, you know, thinking about it some more, I didn't know why I picked this song for an episode, but now I think I do. It's because we're in the middle of the bleakest, least summery summer in music history. Billboard is running a poll for the Song of the Summer. Let's check out our options.
Just stop your crying, it's a sign of the times.
Oh yeah, real beach party music right there. Bust out the beers and the frisbees. So this song, dumb as it is, needed to exist. It's like a hippie song about peace and love and mellowness. Like, even Hendrix liked it. But even if you weren't a hippie, if you would never fit in the counterculture, you could still get with this song. It's just real tons of crossover appeal, this band, which again is why it went to #1 in 16 countries.
We're always happy, last we live in, yeah, that's our philosophy.
Now, let's see how they fail to capitalize. Ha! Nope, another not failure. Even though we dumb Americans couldn't handle the unique sound of Mungo Jerry, they remained huge the world over. Okay, that's not true either. Mungo Jerry never again reached the heights of In the Summertime. But in the UK, they did manage to hang in there. They were never that big again, but they stuck it out through the 70s and kept getting hits. Like, you know, Flo Rida. Never really the huge name, but always kinda there. Now take this. This is Baby Jump.
Baby, 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 jump into my dream.
Now, this was a huge Brit hit. It went to #1. It's their other #1 single, so, you know, that's successful, I guess. On the other hand, I follow a British music blog, and when they reviewed this song, literally none of the commenters had ever heard of it. I don't know, it looks like time has swallowed this one.
She was Lady Catalina, and I was the gamekeeper. I dreamt that I was Humbert and she was Lolita.
Okay, I was not expecting to hear literary references from this band of all bands. They sound like they don't read anything but beer labels. Also, does he know what Lolita was about? As you can see, at some point they did decide to electric it up, but they still sound just so ramshackle. Like, at any moment, all their instruments are gonna fall apart, like the Blues Brothers' car. Eight years of piano lessons my parents gave me. And all this time, all I needed to learn was this.
You don't have to be in the army to fight in the war.
I don't know how to explain their other songs exactly because most of it all kind of sounds the same to me. I mean, I guess there are some variations. Like here they're doing some kind of a Dylan thing, which is a good look for them. And this one here is one of their more polished songs. I'm not sure I want a polished Mungo Jerry though, honestly. I mean, their whole appeal is that they sound like Fat Albert's Junkyard Band. And when I said that they remained successful around the world, that's kinda not a joke. As far as I can tell, their time as hitmakers in the UK ended sometime in the mid to late 70s, but they've had weird blips of success all around the world. Like this song. This one was a big hit in Japan. This was their only other hit in Denmark. Oh, and here's them doing a reggae cover of Dylan's Knockin' on Heaven's Door. This was a big #1 hit in South Africa. They were apparently quite big in early 80s apartheid-era South Africa. Why the hell not? I'm not sure Mungo Jerry ever actually stopped being a thing, but eventually by the mid-80s the hits eventually dried up even overseas. He did do a little songwriting. For example, he wrote a song for Elvis. Unfortunately, Elvis died before he could record it, but some other British singer did, and it became a #1 hit in 1980. England, is this how you did disco? I mean, this is like the cheap BBC version of disco. It's like we had like the Star Wars of disco, and this is like old Doctor Who reruns. You know, Ray still takes the band on tour every now and then. He's got a hair salon now. And of course, when you've got a hit as big as In the Summertime in your bank, you re-record it endlessly.
In the
80s were a mistake.
Summertime when the weather is high, you can stretch right up when the weather's right.
The 2010s were also a mistake. I can say definitively that Mungo Jerry got every bit of success they deserved.
In the summertime when the weather is high.
In the Summertime is an eternal jam. The rest of their stuff, it's fine. It was moderately good. Got them a moderate amount of success. They weren't overrated or underrated. They were rated. They were perfectly rated. And if you're doing anything fun this summer, this might not be a bad song to throw on. It's certainly better than anything you're gonna get from 2017.